Hello, all you patrons. Here we are with another pre-show. Gather round.
Gather around while you can, and let's pray there's not another power outage.
I know. This California, everything's sustainable and green energy, but nothing works.
Well, that's why it's sustainable.
I
No, it's true. Because stop and think about it for a minute. All right, you have two tools, right? Say two hammers. One hammer you're using all the time. The other hammer you never use at all. Now, which of the two is going to last the longer? Right?
Yeah.
So if the electric grid is turned off, it'll last longer than if it's used. Stop being so selfish. Think of conservation. You realize how much money you'd save if you never spent anything?
Well, no, I mean, in the Tumbler House bookstore, it's the opposite. The more you spend, the more you save. So, no, Charles. I never thought of that at all.
That is so true. Keep those checks coming, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry, no CODs. Operators are standing by to take your orders. Save big. The more you spend, the more you save. For every $100 you send, ladies and gentlemen, that's $100 more here at Tumbler House.
That's right. That's right.
Oh gosh, boy, that's kind of the same idea that the federal, and state, county, and city governments have. The more you spend, the more you save. I told you the motto I've created for the Internal Revenue Service.
What?
Income tax, choosing to share.
Oh. That's very, I feel like that's very socialistic or something. Choosing to share.
Choosing to share and not go to jail.
It's not your money, it's our money together.
That's right. All of us together. Remember, nobody makes money alone. President Obama said that.
Did he really say that?
Yeah.
Nobody makes money alone?
That's right. He said, let me see if I can get you the exact quote. It really, for some reason, people got upset when he said it, but because it was him, they forgot. And they forgot that they were upset. They, lapsed back into a coma.
It's easier that way.
Well, especially when he was president. Okay, let's see. You didn't build that. That was his phrase. Yeah. What he actually said was, if you've got a business, you didn't build that.
What did you
Isn't
do?
That great?
What did you do? Okay. I feel like that's half a thought.
Well,
I feel like there's that's half an idea.
This is what he says. There are a lot of wealthy, successful Americans who agree with me because they want to give something back. They know they didn't. Look, if you've been successful, you didn't get there on your own. I'm always struck by people who think, well, it must be because I was just so smart. There are a lot of smart people out there. It must be because I worked harder than everybody else. Let me tell you something. There are a whole bunch of hardworking people out there. If you were successful, somebody along the line gave you some help. There was a great teacher somewhere in your life. Somebody helped to create this unbelievable American system that we have that allowed you to thrive. Somebody invested in roads and bridges. If you've got a business, you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen. The internet didn't get invented on its own. Government research created the internet so that all the companies can make money off the internet. The point is that when we succeed because of our individual initiative, but also because we do things together. There are some things, just like fighting fires, we don't do on our own. I mean, imagine if everybody had their own fire service. That'd be a hard way to organize fighting fires. So we say to ourselves, some things we do better together. That's how we funded the GI Bill. That's how we created the middle class. That's how we built the Golden Gate Bridge and the Hoover Dam. That's how we invented the internet. That's how we sent a man to the moon. We rise and fall together as one nation, as one people. And that's the reason I'm running for president, because I still believe in that idea. You're not on your own. We're in this together. See?
We're in this together? That's
Yeah.
the coronavirus mantra precursor?
Well, yeah. I remember the first month or so of the coronavirus, that all the ads would say that. I remember that.
It was
We're
nonstop
all in
over
this
here.
together.
I mean, you were over in Europe. There was no escape. Like when I hear that line now, I immediately go back to 2020.
We're all in this together.
Yeah.
Well, we were. We were. It was a wonderful time when we were all part of something bigger than ourselves. Government lies and fraud. Lie. Or you tell a lie. We're just liars.
Yeah.
But when a government tells a lie, or when an international organization tells a lie, or when the media as a whole tell a lie, then you've got people together, pulling together toward a common goal. You're part of something bigger than yourself.
Yes.
You seem very, I don't know. There seems to me to be a sort of, I just don't think you're accepting, frankly.
I'm accepting. I mean, the government. It is what it is. The government is what it is. We are what we are.
Did you get vaxxed? Did you get vaxxed?
That's private information. I'm not going to disclose that, Charles.
Fine, I'll disclose it. I didn't get vaxxed.
Okay.
And you know what?
What?
Because I didn't get vaccinated. Who knows? But that I mightn't have had COVID twice.
Wait, say that. If you didn't get vaccinated, you might have had COVID twice?
I might not have had it twice.
Well, we don't know.
I know a lot of people who had 4 or 5 vaccinations who got it several times, more than I did.
I do too.
But all it shows is that the government knew what it was doing at the time. It just doesn't know what it was doing now about that time.
It knew what it was doing at the time. It just didn't know what it was doing now about
No,
back
it's just
then?
that now it doesn't know what it was doing then. Then it knew what it was doing. Now it doesn't know what it was doing then.
Okay. Yeah, that somehow makes sense. Okay, I'm following.
Now, to prove my point, the government of New Zealand, the prime minister, who's not the prime minister under whom the vaccines were forced, but I mean, you were, if you didn't get vaccinated in New Zealand, they had all sorts of ways to punish you, and they did, quite happily. So a couple of months ago, the new prime minister admitted that the vaccinations actually did more harm than good. But, he said, it didn't matter because they were voluntary.
Oh, right. What really what really drives me nuts is when I see advertising space purchased by the government for getting boosters, like as late as I don't know, last year or something like that. It's like, am I really funding that?
Yes. But see, look, you just paid last month your income tax, right?
Yeah.
So you can expect sometime soon, maybe, some kind of income tax return, right?
I already got it, deposited. Yeah. Was I grateful that they gave me back money?
They give you back some of your money.
I think I know where you're going with this. I am grateful that they gave me back some of our money.
Your money.
Our money.
Yeah.
Together.
No, your money.
No, our money.
You and your wife, because California's a community property state. All right, let me put this another way. Let's say I took your wallet, All right, you had $100 in it. I took your wallet, right?
Yeah.
I give you 20 back.
Yeah.
Are you grateful?
Well, if you build roads, did you do things with the money that you took from my wallet for my benefit?
No, but I watched the infrastructure rot, and I put out all sorts of meaningless, pointless crap, and I encouraged free labor to come across the border.
But you'll give me
What am I going to give you?
$80 spread out late, more than $80 spread out later, presumably in 30 years' time.
Well, not exactly, and not if you live that long.
Isn't there? I thought, for some reason, I thought my mom was getting my dad's Social Security or something, or there's some sort of Social Security benefit.
Yeah, I'm sure she is. I'm sure she is. But I doubt highly that I will live Social Security benefit. Even if I do, it's not a lot. And inflation, I'm sure, will help adjust it. You know, I knew when President Trump started putting out the money, the checks, that we were really going to get inflation. And I'm sorry to say I was right.
All right, let's do some questions.
Okay, I can do that.
Charles is clearly a fan of noir movies. Which one is your favorite?
Of which movies?
Noir. Film noir.
Oh, noir movies. Wow. I do love film noir, it's true. But there's so many to choose from. This Gun for Hire and the Blue Dahlia. The Blue Dahlia would definitely be way up at the top. There are so many others, you know, and of course, the modern version gave us L.A. Confidential, which is, you know, really wonderful noir, even though it's color. It was made in the late 90s, early zeros, whatever it was. And you know, the Maltese Falcon, of course, is a favorite. A Long Goodbye. You know, really, Dashiell Hammett and Raymond Chandler gave us noir fiction. But there's so many great writers and makers of noir films. And of course, they were always, you know, set in L.A., San Francisco, New York, London. You know, Garrison Keillor used to lampoon the thing with his Guy Noir, Private Eye. You know, what's that?
What was his radio show?
A Prairie Home Companion, and the opening was really great. It would say, I think it was, I think that it would open something like, how did it go? It was it was really good. He had the same opening for every one of those skits. Yeah. This I love this opening. A dark night in a city that knows how to keep its secrets. But on the 12th floor of the Acme building, one man is still trying to find the answers to life's persistent questions. Guy Noir, Private Eye.
What's the what is the deal with Acme? Like, he used Acme, Looney Tunes, you know, always used Acme. But that's an actual company too. Like, why did everyone decide to use Acme as like this sort of
Acme means the best. Acme means the best.
Oh, does it? Like the denotation of that word is the best.
Yeah. It's the Acme. Uh, High atop the Acme building.
Huh.
I remember Kirk Mulhern and I came up with a phony character like that, a noir figure. I think Ace Champion, IRS. Yeah, Acme is a fictional corporation but it's from the Greek Acme, meaning summit, highest point, extremity, or peak. So, and
Okay.
of course, it makes a point during the 1920s, the word was commonly used in the names of businesses in order to be listed toward the beginning of alphabetized telephone directories like the Yellow Pages, and implied being the best. So there you go.
All right.
Feel better?
I feel better.
Was
All right.
that one of life's persistent questions that was solved for you by a PI operating in Trumau, a city that knows how to keep its secrets? Down these mean streets of Trumau, let me tell you.
Speaking of, I'm surprised you're not listing the third man. Hello.
The Third Man is funny because it's a noir comedy, really.
Comedy? How is that?
It's got a lot of funny stuff in the Third Man. The Third Man. Sorry, I was thinking the Thin Man.
Oh no! I mean, obviously, Thin Man's funny. No, the third man.
But no, the Third Man. Yeah, the Third Man is definitely Vienna Noir.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So I'm just gonna put on my fedora and go out for a little bit, see what I can learn on the street. Another sort of noir remake was The Late Show with Art Carney and oh God, what's her name? Oh, she's very funny, but I can't think of her name. Lily Tomlin.
Yeah.
But it's basically an old detective from the 40s, only it's the 70s, and he's an old man.
Yeah.
And he's got kind of a wigged out 70s client played by Lily Tomlin.
Yeah.
Great picture.
All right. What are your thoughts on Marcus Garvey?
Well, for those who don't know, Marcus Garvey was a West Indian black guy, Catholic, as it turns out, who headed a Back to Africa movement for American Caribbean blacks to return to what would be the United Empire of Africa, of which he declared himself emperor. And he basically preached black supremacy. Blacks were superior to white people. Africa was the Garden of Eden. The blacks were the Edenites. But according to their mythology, one night an Edenite woman fell in love with the moon, and from that union came the first white person.
Okay. I almost thought you were gonna lyrically say the cat's in the cradle.
On the silver spoon, little boy blue, the man in the moon. When you're coming home, Dad, I don't know when, but we'll get together then, son. You know we'll have a good time then.
Okay.
Is that what you wanted?
Yeah, I think I did.
Hey diddle diddle, the cat on the fiddle, the cow jumped over the moon. The little dog laughed to see such a sport, and the dish ran away with the spoon.
Yeah.
But to return, Marcus Garvey was really an interesting and very charismatic character. And one of the things he did, you remember that one of the leading steamship companies, they gave us the Titanic before it merged with Cunard, was the White Star Line. Well, to bring blacks back to Africa, Marcus Garvey created the Black Star Line.
Okay. How many was it used a lot?
And people would return to Africa.
What was it used a lot?
What's that? Well, I don't know. Let's find out. We'll go to Wikipedia, source of all truth. Black Star Line. 1919 to 1922, so it didn't last long, was a shipping line incorporated by Marcus Garvey, the organizer of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, and other members of the UNIA. The shipping line was created to facilitate the transportation of goods and eventually African Americans throughout the African global economy. It derived its name from the White Star Line, a line whose success Garvey felt he could duplicate. The Black Star Line became a key part of Garvey's contribution to the Back to Africa movement, but it was mostly unsuccessful, partly due to infiltration by FBI agents. Really? That's interesting. It was only one among many businesses which the UNIA directed, such as the Universal Printing House Negro Factories Corporation and the widely distributed and highly successful Negro World weekly newspaper. So it ran between the USS Pequot, the Yarmouth, the Frederick Douglass, the Stephen Kanawha, and the February of 1922, it ceased to trade. And it was headquartered in Costa Rica. What do you know?
What is the idea of futurism?
Futurism was a intellectual, literary, artistic movement that really was, well, sort of Italian Art Deco. It was very much about the world tomorrow, advancement, and so on and so forth. And Mussolini and some of his followers were very much into that kind of thing. You see it in the architecture of that era in Italy. Now, what I can't remember offhand, so I will not attempt to, is who the leading writers were in it. It emphasizes dynamism, speed, technology, youth, etc. And not all futurists were fascists, but there were definitely some fascists among the futurists. Let me see if I can see any of these names that really jump out at me. Well, Julius Evola, of course. People love him. None of my favorites, really. Oh, well, Giovanni Papini. Now, him I liked. There's some others.
Okay.
Okay,
so that's that. What
so
about what?
Well, I was just saying, so remember this was an era of, again, think of Art Deco. Everything oriented towards speed, the streamlined look, everything going forward. Futurism was very much like that.
Okay. Is it true Mussolini wanted to ban pasta?
I've never heard that before.
I don't know what the reasons behind that would be.
Well, because supposedly pasta makes people fat, I would guess.
Well, I mean, it's just bread. It's just a starch.
Yeah, well, haven't you ever heard of the Atkins diet?
Well, I don't know. I don't think Atkins happened during Mussolini's time. Okay, you're just being insane. And so we're going to move forward.
No, I'm not. No. I'm saying I could see where he might have wanted to ban pasta because it made people fat. That's all. All right, you know what? Again,
that doesn't even make sense. Why don't you ban cake then? Why don't you ban chocolate?
People enjoyed it. All right, Mussolini pasta ban. Apparently that was a thing. Oh, now, I've never heard of this before. Now, supposedly, during the 1930s, Italian dictator Benito Mussolini and his fascist party tried to steer the country away from its dependence on pasta, first by persuasion and then by C, you are so wrong, and then by outright attempts to legally ban it. The move, he explained at conferences, was to protect the well-being of Italian citizens. Moving away from carbohydrates and focusing on protein was healthier. See? So I mentioning the Atkins diet was not crazy. And you're more Italian than I am, so there.
That guy is lucky he was a dictator, because if that was a presidential race, you're in favor of a pasta ban in Italy, guess what, buddy? You lose.
Yeah, I'm afraid that would be true. I mean, true. I mean, just thinking about this whole thing makes you want a plate of rigatoni.
Oh, yeah.
With meat sauce and sausage and meatballs.
Love it.
Would that be great right now?
That would be great right now. I agree. Yeah, when you have cravings, you definitely, I feel like people naturally gravitate to Italian food more than anything else. Not necessarily French food. It's really, you want to get to that good stuff.
Is that what you think? Well, that's not how Mussolini felt. Are you gonna tell me you're more Italian than Mussolini was?
Yes, I am. If you are in favor of banning pasta, you are inherently like just turn in your Italian card, because you're done. You're done.
Well, he determined who was an Italian. You don't. He did.
What?
He was the one who decided on this stuff, not you. Him.
How is that?
Because he was Italian. He had a right to decide who is and who is not an Italian. He was the Duce, for heaven's sake.
What does that mean?
What's that, Duce?
Yeah.
He was the leader. That's what Duce means, leader.
Okay.
And I think he needed, acceptance.
Honestly, he got strung up later, like after everything, but I'm surprised they didn't string him up over wanting a pasta ban. I tell you what, if that pasta ban went through, they would have strung him up right there and then. Just, you're done. You're done.
I'm sorry to say this, but I think you become hostile toward Benito Mussolini.
I'm fairly hostile. That's outrageous. A pasta ban? Of all the things to ban, listen, I can understand chow mein sandwiches. I can understand Cincinnati chili. I can understand peanut butter and banana sandwiches, or whatever crazy thing that was there. But pasta? Just outright pasta?
Well, okay, that is a little hard. Fine.
Okay. All right, moving on from Mussolini, John says, I know Charles dislikes FDR, but what are his thoughts on Eleanor Roosevelt?
Well, the immortal words of FDR. I hate war. Eleanor hates war. I know war. I know Eleanor. Frankly, I prefer war. No, Eleanor Roosevelt, I feel a great deal of pity for in some ways, because, she was married to a man who betrayed her terribly. She stayed married to him. They ceased to have physical relations. She stayed married to him on the proviso that he never see her former secretary again. That being, the woman she discovered he was seeing. When he died, just before he died, when he was failing, his daughter was able to get the secretary from ages ago back to see Franklin Roosevelt on his deathbed. Mrs. Roosevelt came down from D.C., discovered this, and you see pictures of her going back to D.C. on the train, and she looks totally lost and woebegone. It's not because she lost her husband, it's because she found she'd been betrayed yet again at the very end of his life. So she had a lot to live with, to be fair. She was not a pretty lady. But after he died, she dedicated herself to left wing causes, like the Highlander Folk School in Tennessee and so on. And she was sort of the grand old lady of the Democratic Party, so JFK had to get her blessing on his candidacy and things like that. She, of course, had affectional issues as well.
Affectional issues? Okay. Um,
Yeah.
Was their marriage a sort of political marriage?
It became that way. I mean, she married out of love anyway, and uh, did her best to be a real wife to him until she discovered his adultery with her secretary.
No, I mean, like, did they both come from like good, powerful families, and so there's some sort of
Oh yeah, they
alliance
came from
there?
two branches of the same family.
Oh,
Her maiden name was Roosevelt.
okay.
He was her sixth cousin.
Ah, I see.
See, in the 18th century, the Roosevelt clan split, and one branch, which included Teddy Roosevelt, who was Eleanor's uncle, and his younger brother, her father Elliot, were out in Long Island in Oyster Bay. And Franklin's branch had gone up the Hudson to a place called Hyde Park on the Hudson. And her branch had stayed Dutch Reformed, and his father and grandfather turned Episcopalian.
Let me ask you this: which family, I guess, and just the whole family combined, had the most power in American politics? Yeah, the Roosevelts, the Kennedys, or the Clintons?
I would say that's really hard, especially because the two Roosevelt presidents were so different from each other. I mean, I really like Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah, of
I
course.
can't stand Franklin.
Yeah.
Although they were close, Franklin modeled himself in some ways after Teddy, including the Postet glasses. And Teddy gave Eleanor away at her wedding to Franklin because her father was dead. They were married on St. Patrick's Day because Teddy was president of the United States, and the only way they could find to get him to New York, away from Washington, was because he was already scheduled to be heading the St. Patrick's Day parade. So after the parade, he went to St. Nicholas Dutch Reformed Church in Manhattan and did the wedding on St. Patrick's Day.
Nice.
But he had his mistresses. She surrounded herself with ladies at her two homes.
Roosevelt's, Kennedys, or Clintons?
Kennedys.
Okay. All right, that's it for the pre-show, everyone. Stay tuned, full
That's
episode.
it?
That's it, Charles. But if you want to do your 65-page ode to spring,
Okay.
we can do that for you.
Okay. I think that truly there is no thing I love quite as well as our old spring. When one sees the flowers come from snowdrop, tulip, snowdrop, daffodil, tulip, chrysanthemum, one knows that this poem is not getting shorter. I should finish, but I don't think I ought to.
Okay. April, I always say April is the cruelest month.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
April, come she will.
Breeding lilacs out of the dead land, mixing memory and desire, stirring dull roots with spring rain.
Bring flowers of the fairest and flowers of the rarest from woodland and heathland and meadow and vale. Do you know what that is?
I'm not familiar.
Oh, Mary, we crown thee with blossoms today. Queen of the rosary, Queen of the May. Oh, Mary, we crown thee with blossoms today. Queen of the rose, Queen of the angels, Queen of the May.
Nice.
In French, we sing, C'est le mois de Marie, c'est le mois le plus beau. Ah, no?
I don't know what was being said. That's okay, though.
It's the month of Mary. It's the most beautiful month.
Oh, okay. All right. Stay tuned. Full
That's
episode
it?
coming right at you. Yes, it is. See you then.
See you, these.